welcome everybody. Coming off a tough loss. We're at the midway point of the season. So if you kind of look at this is like a 10,000-foot view of the program. We're 4-2. I'm telling our team probably anywhere from a B minus to a B. We're maybe 3 plays away from being undefeated, and probably a play away from being 3-3. So it's kind of where we're at. Done a lot of good things, but a lot of things we got to work on. Been really impressed with the temperament of our team after a tough loss on the road, which we had every opportunity to win. But coming into this week, coming off a tough loss like we did, so did Wyoming. The San Diego State game, they definitely had their chances to win. So I think we're both in the same spot that way, just coming off some tough losses that had a chance to win. Coach Jay's, been at Wyoming for a few years, defensive coach, coordinator for many years of Coach Bull, taking over this year. They've had a tough schedule. Played a lot of Power 4 schools, and but our guys are excited to get back. Get this bad taste out of our mouth. Had a really good day of practice today. I thought our guys worked hard, and we'll just go back to work and see what happens.
Questions for Coach?
All right, to start off, kind of a similar question we asked last week to start. What's the quarterback situation looking like this week with after all those swaps in the last game?
Yeah, so we don't want to do that again. I mean, that's not. It's not something ideal that we'd like to do. Right now, they're both getting reps with the ones, both Walker and Emmett. Obviously, Walker finished with more reps. So, coach is going to let it play out this week. Walker might be slightly ahead right now. But, we don't want to make anything definitive. We're going to let practice play out because they're that close. Obviously, Emmett did a lot of good things. Walker brought a lot of good things too. But, switching the quarterback out, there's timing issues. The offense is the same. But sometimes the reps that you get with certain receivers and stuff. And so we'll go through this week. You'll practice. It's still close, but hopefully, because we're not. I don't foresee us doing that. The rest of the season during the game, going back and forth. Hopefully we'll have one guy. Kind of go from there.
And then, so it sounds like there's no starter yet. But what do you want to see this week from practice to kind of make a decision on that?
Well, I think the big thing that Coach Stutzman is looking for is a guy that gets his reads, decision making. A lot of reads. Obviously, in every offense, the quarterback makes a ton of reads, but just Coach is looking for some consistency at the position. Throwing the ball where it's supposed to go, getting your reads, and I think that's the biggest thing. Just executing offense like Coach wants it to do. We got to perform at a high level to be able to compete, and just trying to get that as close as possible. And it's decision making and making sure that the person is getting his reads right, is the person going to and executes the guy going to play.
Good afternoon, Coach. You said I think 3 plays away from 6-0, and you also said B plus B. Do you think anything changes even if those 3 plays go your way? You're 6-0. You'd still grade yourself that way?
Yeah, just because it's sometimes winning masks some things. You get away with the win, but we still did this and we still that, and so it's always better to correct off wins. I feel like I guess I'd rather correct off wins, but sometimes a loss, you get people's attention a little bit more, but that's not the way you want things to happen. But unfortunately, sometimes win masks, mistakes and deficiencies and errors that you made. And so maybe if those 3 plays we make, maybe a B, a B plus, maybe, just because like I said, it's a long ways to go, and we can always get better. Coaches too. I'm talking about our whole program. I'm not just talking about the players. That's me as the head coach, our coaches, our players, just everything. There's definitely a lot of work for all of us.
Tyler Chen, he was in this past week at guard. Is that something we're going to see going forward? Was there an injury on the line?
Yes, there was an injury. Sione had a concussion, and he was able to pass concussion protocol, but it was so late in the week, didn't get much practice. So we went Tyler, who has been a center and taking the ball out of his hands, just kind of freed him up, so to speak. And I thought Tyler played well. I was pleased with him. I thought Tyler played really, really well, and so I definitely see him playing as it moves on. How that distributes between him and Sione in different positions, I'm not sure, but it gives us some depth. So excited about the way he played. Thought he did a lot of good things, and I was happy for him because he, a great young man. He's worked hard, but he'll definitely be in the mix somewhere.
And then you mentioned you have a hands-off approach with your defensive coordinator, your offensive coordinators, and let them do what they do best. But my question is, when do you ever step in to kind of like give some oversight, give your own thoughts, and how does that collaboration effort work between you guys?
Yeah, how did I put that? I mean, we're getting ready to meet here soon. We met in the morning. I wouldn't say hands off. You know what I mean? That's probably a wrong approach. It just, um, you know, Coach Stutzman, Coach Odom and I, we talk all the time. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things we talk about. You know what I mean? Just, and so there's things that discuss, hey, you've thought about this or that. The majority of stuff I let them do. You know what I mean? And I mean, they're good at what they do. They're elite coaches. But, it's not me sitting in one room and either totally oblivious or totally let them, it's not totally separate. But I give them the freedom and things they do. And if there's some stuff like, why are we doing that? Should we think about this? A lot of those discussions go on. But the majority of, yes, it's them. I trust what they do. But when there's holes and different things that's going on, it's in our meeting what we're going to have right now. Just, we talk about those kinds of things and try to get them fixed.
And then coming off a tough loss, what was your message to the team after that, just to try and get them, short-term memory and then get ready for Wyoming in the next week?
Well, I didn't really talk much about short-term memory. I wanted that to soak in a little bit. I mean, that was a painful loss. Just like because we had every opportunity to win that football game. But, the big emphasis in going into the game, to win on the road or win anytime, you can't beat yourself. That was our message. And we had over 100 yards of penalty. I don't know if I've ever been in a game where coached the team, we had over 100 yards of penalty. And so that can't happen. And I don't think it was a lack of discipline. I think there's maybe a couple calls that happened, but some of it happened, we got tired. And so that was the emphasis. We had some holding calls later on. I think it was just got a little tired, in altitude. And we lost our technique. But those are the things that can't happen. So those are the things we're stressing this week. Pushing a little bit more, some conditioning stuff. When you start to get tired, you can't forget about your technique and your fundamentals. And that's what ended up happening. It's like I said earlier, there was one call that fortunately the league came back to us and said they were wrong in the call. I'm grateful that the league, said that they missed the call. It shows that Mike, who's over it, is he's one of the best commissioners, officials in the country, and he just felt, they missed the call. But they're human too. The officials are human. So the biggest thing that we talked about is we got to clean up the penalties. You can't beat yourself. And the margin to win is that thin. That's the reason I bring up those plays. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're one play, I feel like, at Washington State. We stop, the last drive, we make a play on the ball, the game's over. But Nevada, if Rocket doesn't make that play, they're going to beat us. That's how close it is. And last week, maybe we make a field goal. Maybe that one call doesn't go against us. We're going to win. But trying to explain to our guys that everything, the details of stuff matter to us. Because every game, we've had our last 3 games have been one-possession games. And so everything matters. And just trying to put an emphasis on detail and what we do. And so that was really the message.
you kind of alluded to it last week, but this balance that you have when you delegate your time in each position group and how you do that. I guess that is the question. How do you go about being either in the quarterback room or on the defense? How do you go about delegating that time?
Well, I go to both staff meetings. I'm always in both staff meetings. Um, Really, in the course of the day, I go to a lot of the meetings. A lot of it is by feel. I spend a lot of time in quarterback meetings because seeing obviously it's the most important position. But in there with Craig and the quarterbacks and see how things going um, in the old line room. But all our meeting rooms are right down here. I'll poke my head into all the meetings. Just sit down for a little bit, see how guys are doing, see the things that are being taught. And so, really, the course of the week, I just go to everybody's meetings. I don't really schedule it because sometimes I like to surprise the coaches and the players. You know what I mean? So I just pop in. You know what I mean? And just I don't want to. Hey, at 8:55, I'm coming in your meeting. I just go to all the meetings. But we start every morning with staff meetings. Then we break up. Then we have a staff meeting later on. The morning meeting is more about finalizing practice. But then we'll have a staff meeting, like I said, as soon as we're done here. Um, but there's a lot of discussion, like the rest of the day. I mean, we're here. I mean, that's what we're going to do the rest of the day. And so there's a lot of discussion about certain things we're doing. I'm at practice every day. I mean, I got all my notes. And so we just sit down with the coordinators, different positions, things that I see, things we try to address. And so there's that initial big staff meeting of some of my thoughts, things we have to do, and then we split up. Offense goes on, defense goes on the side, and I'll spend some time on the offensive side, then I'll go on the defensive side.
If I'm not mistaken, Nick Nash still leads the nation in receptions, but in conference games, he averages less than 7 per game. How do you go about scheming ways where he's able to touch the ball more in these, with the rest of the season, his conference game?
Yeah, so those are things, obviously without getting into schematic stuff, we're seeing how people are trying to take him away. Um, so we'll continue to devise different things, whether it's, scheme, formation, or whatever, to try to help us. Um, but the other thing that ends up happening when other guys start making plays, which guys have been making, um, we're a hair away from, in the third quarter, and we just barely missed it. I mean, it was just outstretched hands of J-Lock catching another deep ball for a touchdown. You know what I mean? It was, but as J-Lock continues to push make deep plays, I mean, deep ball plays that he has, and he's got a lot of balls. Cooper came inside and made some plays. I think Matt Coleman's done a nice job when he's been in there. Seabass, obviously, the play that he made the game before, our tight ends, and Chalk and Bates and Lamar in the run game. I guess what I'm saying is, you can't take away everything. So if guys are putting a lot of emphasis on him, it opens up other people, and it gives us, stuff in the run game. Early on in the Nevada game, they're trying to do a lot of things, but we're getting 8 to 10 yards a pop on the run game because people are trying to take things away. And so he'll get his targets, he'll get his catches, because you can't. It's hard to eliminate one person, especially when he's a slot guy, and we move him around. But like I said, people are trying to do that and we've seen that other guys can still make plays. So we'll kind of go with that route. Still give him his touches, give him his targets, but it's also going to help us open up other parts of the field.
John Ward stepped up, made a few big plays in that game against Colorado State. What did you think of his performance overall?
I thought John played awesome. In fact, I was just walking off the field with him. I said, the cool thing about what you did is you got an opportunity. It sucks to lose, Q, one of our best defensive linemen. But sometimes someone else's demise is an opportunity for somebody else. And as tough as that was for Q, it gave him an opportunity to step up, and I thought he played really, really well. So it gives us another edge guy with some size, some experience. He's versatile. He can play the run, and he can rush the passer. And so really happy for him. A guy that got here late, another late transfer guy that, by the time he got admitted in school, it was late in the summer. And he's done, he's adjusted well to being here. And he's been a key addition to our team. And, especially with Q getting hurt, really happy he's here.
And then after being able to watch the film against Colorado State, what are some of your takeaways that got things that went well and things that didn't go well?
Yeah, we got to do a better job on the edge defensively. So that's something we got to continue to leverage the ball and contain the ball, third down on defense. We've been doing a good job the last couple of weeks getting guys in third down, but we've struggled getting guys off the field. So that's definitely stuff we can work on. The penalties on offense. I mean that killed us. I mean we're like that one drive. It was like an accordion. We'd go down and it's going like this. Like I mean I can't. It's going to be. We'd be hard pressed to win another game if you have 100 yards of penalties. I mean that's a whole length of football field, and we had I think 110. And so we definitely got to clean that up because I feel like we're doing some good things offensively. Um, and so we just got the self-inflicted wounds we got to clean up on offense. And on defense, there's some things that we know we got to shore up on our edge game. Like that was something we struggled with against Nevada and also Washington State. They were able to get out, and obviously Colorado State was able to exploit it. So it's been a big emphasis of us. I'm sure Wyoming tried to do some stuff too. They got an athletic quarterback, and he's big and fast and strong. And I'm sure they'll try to get some stuff, which they do. They already have in their package where he runs the football, and he's a weapon running the ball. And so, those are some things we got to shore up that way. Just the thing as you go back to the tape was frustrating because a lot of stuff was self-inflicted. It's hard enough to win when you go to the right place, you got your eyes in the right spot, and you're trying to block somebody or tackle somebody. But some of the self-inflicted stuff we got to eliminate. But I will say this: I'm happy about our effort of our guys. Our guys are still playing hard. We just got to play smarter. We had that one penalty in a kickoff return when we had talked about, hey, we're gonna fair catch it, so don't. And we had a block late, and the player that did it has been one of our best special teams player, and he's played well all season. But those are the kind of things we got to eliminate. I mean, it's going in the end zone. It's going to be a touchback. Don't hit anybody. So instead of starting at 25, we're on a 10. And so as you watch the film, that's the most glaring thing. Get rid of the self-inflicted wounds.
And then vice versa, looking at Wyoming's film, what you kind of mentioned a little bit with the quarterback, but what challenges do they propose to you guys?
Well, they're a good team. I mean, they've played a tough schedule. Arizona State obviously is. I think they're high in the pack. The Big 12. They're a really good football team. BYU is leading the Big 12. So those are a couple of teams, and they had some other close losses like we did. And so when I look at them, I see us, a talented team, just got to scrap for everything. They got good players. They got good coaches. Their record may not reflect, kind of their team right now, but it's like I said, we're a play away from being 3-3. And we recognize that, and so it's in this conference, anybody can beat you in any given week. Obviously, Boise's at the top, and with UNLV, and the rest of us are just trying to scrap and try to do the best we can. And so, when I look at them, I see a team like us, a team that's fighting and scrapping for everything. Like I said, on offense, like I said, the quarterback presents problems. Got a defensive end, 54, that's really, really good. Probably one of the best defensive guys that we've seen all year. Pass rusher, he's creates a lot of havoc. But they kind of remind me of besides Nick coming to the season, we were kind of not a lot of well-known people, and I think the same thing about them. Just a scrappy team, just played a tough schedule and lost some close games, and we're definitely not. Our approach this week is not looking at their record or anything. We're San Jose State. We're not Alabama. We recognize who we are. We saw last week if we don't play perfect and do what we're supposed to, we can get beat. And so we got to get back to that.
A couple more for Coach.
John took accountability in the post-game presser with us. He was saying it's my fault that the edge wasn't set a lot of the times. And you were mentioning right now how he came in late in the season. Quincy's hurt. Do you think it's a byproduct that a lot of these guys haven't gotten maybe the same amount of reps, or is it just something else?
That's definitely one of the. I mean, that's definitely one of them. And as coaches, we look at it this way. So we, to all of our, I mean, I got to look at what are we doing wrong practice wise. There's something we can do, and we talk about it. Then Coach Odom, Coach Stutzman look at stuff schematically. Then the position coaches will look at it. Hey, how am I teaching? How's my film review? How are my meetings? How are my walkthroughs? How are my drills? So it's a byproduct of all that. Maybe some new guys, maybe still learning the scheme, but ultimately you got to get on the field and do it and get it done. And so we look at ourselves: is our message clear enough? Do our guys clearly understand their responsibility? And if they do, why are they making those mistakes? A big thing that we've tried to focus on this week is our eyes. I mean, in football, a lot of times when things go awry at positions because you had bad eyes. From a cornerback to a quarterback to O lineman, really every position. If you don't have your eyes right, a lot of times, you make mistakes. And so just making sure that our keys are clear for our guys, but we got to help them. We got to help the new guys like John. We got to help our guys, whether it's by drills, whether it's by schemes, whether by practicing it, and we just keep going. You know what I mean? It's something that we worked on last week, so it wasn't like a surprise. Oh, we got to get better at that. We worked on it last week. We got to continue to work on that as coaching.
Final question for Coach.
Quarterback wise, I know we've talked about frequently it's practice. What's been best? Are there anything external outside of practice or the non-football things that are kind of contributing to that quarterback battle, or is it mainly on the field where things are being made?
It's most definitely just on the field, your production. Both of them have been awesome. Both of them are in there all the time watching film. They're both gym rats. Trying to get things done. So there's nothing that way. Just their effort and what they're doing, their leadership. I mean, it's all above board. They're great young men. I was telling. I mean, it's hard. Because you love them both. And so, like when one guy's a starter, you feel bad for the other guy, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And when Emmett's the starter, I'm ecstatic for him because I love him and he's a great young man. But you feel bad for Walker and even X. You know what I mean? They're all great young men. But when Walker went in and is doing great, you're excited for him and you're chest bumping him. And Emmett's happy too. But they're inside there, it's still hard. I was a backup quarterback, so I know it's hard because it's the one position that everybody sees. Nobody sees the backup guard or the backup, at a different position or whatever. You don't notice if somebody goes in, and they always rotate, but you see when the quarterback rotates, and it's fair because the quarterback gets all the glory and he gets all the blame. It's part of the position. It's the reason in the league those guys make $300-400 million. I mean, they're the most important position in football, and so it's all production. It's a close battle. Right now, if we're going to go, it's probably, like I said, 55, 45, that we go 100. I mean, that's probably Walker right now going in, but we don't want to etch that in stone because Emmett might have a phenomenal week. We're getting ready to watch tape, and whoever gives us the best chance, whoever had the best week, is going to be the guy that's going to go. But that's kind of our thing. They're kind of like this going into this week. One is slightly ahead of them, but Emmett's not far behind in our, as we go through this week. And it's Tuesday.